Alrighty, so I figured I'd make a video of this carb, how it's taken apart and possibly put back together. Seen a couple of videos of this carb, no one really shows you how to take it off and kind of go through it. So this video would apply to the Mercury and the Yamaha F25s, the early 2000 to 2005 model, two-cylinder overweight pigs. If you're wondering how to get the carb off, first couple of bolts you got to remove are the 3 bolts on the intake manifold. They release the spacer, which will allow you to pull the carb off. And once you get the carb off, you got these 2 bolts, because you're wondering, how do you get to this back bolt, the air horn? Well, you got to get the carb and the spacer off, and then you can get to the back of the air horn to get the 2 bolts off. The air horn is of course sitting down there. All the air horn does is it loops up and towards the front. So I've got this carb taken apart and cleaned up, so let's go take it back to the bench and I'll show you what I took apart and cleaned in there. Mind the walk. My little redneck shop. Let's take this off. Obviously I've taken off the top plate here. Top plate's over here. Now you can clean these carbs without actually replacing a gasket if you're really careful. The only gasket that really goes bad is the bowl gasket. So if you're easy, you can save your gaskets and not have to spend any money. I am using an ultrasonic cleaner down there. Got that off Amazon Jungle site, and I use 2 or 3 cans of this B12 chem tool. 20 minutes once I take the carb off. Spick and span. So again, I usually start with the top. I try to put the screws back in so I know where they go. Take the bottom off. Let's see if I can pop. Again, this one's already been cleaned, so demonstration purposes. We'll pull the bowl off. The gasket will be in the bottom bowl. You're going to want to pry it off easy. This over here is your enrichment hole. There's an enrichment plunger. If you're going to clean this, be careful. There's a spring in there. It'll pop this little plunger right out. And don't lose the plunger or the spring. More importantly, don't lose that little screw. Back here is a drain, so if when you're done for the season, you generally want to drain this carb bowl out. Back to the main bowl. You've got your main jet over here. Over here is your idle jet. I'm sorry, fuel needle, main, idle. To get the idle jet, there's a little cover that you're going to have to pop off. I don't have the cover here, but you'll see there'll be a brass plug. You can pry that off. As far as the main jets, I mean, that's not too bad. Make sure you use a screwdriver that fits that slot, otherwise you'll gall it and you'll never get it out. Same thing with the idle jet. Make sure you use the right size screwdriver or you'll gall it. And then this is a Venturi. It just slides in. You can pop that out just by sticking your finger down the throat, pushing down. Everything will come right out. And again, I'm tossing everything here into the cleaner. One of the things I like to do is when I find an old carb is the EPA mandates enrichment screws be capped. This right here is where your enrichment screw goes. You'll notice that there's a hole. Well, I drilled out the plug and I pulled out the enrichment. That's basically a little needle with a spring on there. Otherwise, standard float with a needle back there. This is your auto enrichment. When you apply 12 volts to this will extend. This is why these carbs are kind of neat. I mean, again, this is the same carb that's used on a Honda, a Yamaha, and a Mercury. Tohatsus do not use this. So again, Honda, Mercury, and Yamaha. Mercury and Yamaha because they're the same motors for the 25 horse motors. But hopefully this helps. Assembly's reverse, just reverse the order that you're going back in. Don't over tighten the screws. Again, if you put this gasket inside the ultrasonic cleaner, the gasket will shrink and you're going to end up buying a gasket. You cannot buy this gasket for Mercury. If you have a Mercury, go to a Yamaha motor. Same carburetor, same gasket. Questions, comments?